All right, knife fans, it's that time again. I ordered another one. I ordered them both at the same time for one reason. The Artisan Arroyo came in earlier than the other one. This one was 59 bucks. Did the review of it yesterday, so you can see that. And then the other one that I'd ordered at the same time for the princely sum of $26.99, and that's for the carbon fiber edition, is another one from these little guys. Canku. Again, don't know what the name means, whatever. It's the C1141. And what this is it is their, I guess, vision of a knife that might be familiar to some, and that is the Burnley Kwaiken, which I think is a Burnley design. So this is a flipper. It is on ball bearing pivots. The basic specs are, it's 8.23 inches overall. The blade is 3.46, so just under half an inch. Sorry, just under 3.5 inches. Let's see, it's a 3mm blade thickness, and it weighs 5.5 ounces. It's a slender little guy. I love the kind of Japanese design, almost like a little samurai sword or whatever the shorter version of the samurai sword would be. Action's real smooth, so it's got nice stainless steel tumble dry or tumbled kind of stone washed finish. So that'll hide scratches and stuff from your keys and things like that pretty well. Simple pocket clip. It is tip up and it is not reversible. It's got this carbon fiber. I don't know if it's G10 or if it's actual. It actually feels like carbon fiber. And it's got a really kind of cool texture to it. So it's got grip, but it's not sharp at all. But it feels good in the hand. It's not slick. That was my problem I've had with some of the ones that I've tried that from Boker at the Blade Show, was that they look really good, but they didn't kind of stick in your hand. And when you don't have really any curve or any contours to kind of lock your hand in, you know, you're just grabbing a popsicle stick because it is a very slender design. You've got that little bit there that can act as a little bit of a stop, but what's nice is that you do get some traction there. It's not abrasive by any means. Tension on the clip is just where I like it, strong, but not so strong that you feel like you're going to shred your pockets or have to really yank it to get it out. Blade centering, perfect. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's, you might say, well, it's off 1/1000th of it. I mean, I don't know, to me, that looks perfect. So this was $26.99 with tax, you know, through a sales tax or whatever. It was like $28.50 or something, just under $29. It's D2 steel. Feels like it's got a decent blade, although it is fairly thick. Behind the edge, it's not like this guy, which, you know, the blade thickness, starts out thinner, but when you look how high that grind is, it is really thin like a razor behind that. So this is definitely going to be a better slicer. This is something that's probably a stronger edge, a little thicker blade, thicker, more supported up towards the tip, while still being really long and tapered. So that's a really nice, sharp tip. As far as sharpness, does it slice well? Yeah. Yeah, even though it's got a much more obtuse, a much more, you know, steep blade, cuts real nice. I don't know if it'll do a push test or not, push cut. Okay, that's what's so weird about push tests. You know, you do something like this where it slices crazy. Okay, that one does do a, maybe, did I try it? Maybe I didn't try a push test yesterday. I thought I did, but it didn't do it. But this is effortlessly, without me having to, you know, draw it. I will say it does the push test easier on the Arroyo, but I mean, it is doing it. So that is a really nice, sharp factory edge. Really nice and stabby. I feel like this is probably a little bit more of a stout blade, and it definitely weighs more in the pocket. But it's you know, it's got thicker steel on the blade. It's got thicker liners underneath the carbon fiber scales. Liner lockup is good. Do I feel any hot spots? Action's good and snappy. No hot spots. It doesn't run into the issue I have here, which is what I have with those pronounced finger guards, is that you have to be careful how you hold it. If you choke up, that point you can see kind of pushing into my finger there. So I have to hold this more of a certain way. And if you're just opening packages and doing things, you would grab it and adjust your grip, and it would not be a problem. If you're using your knife in a more hard use manner, or if you had to deploy the knife as we won't use the W word for YouTube, we'll say a defensive or offensive tool, then, when you grab it, now you may say, well, in those instances, if you're having to resort to using the tool in such a manner, it might not matter so much, and you wouldn't notice the uncomfortableness because of the, your adrenaline and the situation. Just suck it up, Buttercup. I get it. But, as an everyday tool, when you're using it, this one is just a little small in my hand. I feel like it's not in my hand enough, so when I go to choke up on it, then I'm pushing that into my knuckle a little bit. So I do have to wiggle it. And I can get it to a point where if I adjust my grip, now I have most of my grip on there, but you notice I had to kind of move around and let it settle into place. Whereas this, you just kind of grab and it doesn't really matter. You can move your hand around. Doesn't really have a finger choil. You got that little bit of lip there that if you wanted to just choke up a little bit, but wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But I gotta say, so if you look up what Boker wants for these, and the steel might be S30V or S35VN, so there's some additional differences. But D2 is decent pocket tool steel. I have no problem with D2. It's a simple stone washed, so it should again hide scratches and nicks pretty well. It seems well made. I mean, you don't have to give it a flick or anything like that. The detent's strong that it doesn't come undone on its own. I always look at these things and I'm like, man, is that going to be, enough leverage? Whereas here, it's the way it's angled, you're at a 90-degree angle, and it's just an instant flick. All the pressure goes down, which swings it, as opposed to this, you're more pushing in. So I think, can I push it fast enough to flick out? But honestly, it's very comfortable. There's jimping on there, but it's not sharp and abrasive by any means. And it just flies open. It's very smooth as far as dropping. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fall in like the bug out or some of the, well, the bug out doesn't because the axis lock puts pressure on the blade as it's closing. But I mean, it does close really nice. Not quite as nice maybe as that, but then again, I've also been flicking that about 300 times since I got it yesterday, but it does close pretty easy. That's a really nice knife. I like that. I love that just sort of classic Japanese design. It's clean, it's elegant, but it's also still useful. I mean, that's good for piercing packages and opening things, and it's certainly going to be a decent slicer because you've got some nice belly there. You can choke up on it and get some nice cuts with it. Yeah, what else is there to say? You got a lanyard hole, pocket clip not reversible, so once again, sorry lefties. But this is, again, one of those damn deals, and it's like, I know I sound like a broken record, and so do the people telling me, oh, you can't buy from China, whatever. I just don't care anymore. I'm not going to be racist towards Chinese people, or I don't like the Chinese government. Right now, I don't technically like our administration, so you know what? It is what it is. The knives themselves are solid. I guess you would consider this a clone. I mean, there's other Kwaiken designs, but I guess Boker technically owns that. I typically see them in a Boker design, but I have seen them elsewhere. It's not as, I mean, I guess maybe it is a clone. I know it's not like looking at, the Medford Praetorian clone where you're like, okay, dude, that's a copy of a Medford. But I guess in a way, this is just, I mean, I don't know what the difference, other than the steel, I don't know what the difference is. And I think there are some bargain, more they're like lower level with lesser steels that are closer to the $100 mark. But for less than $30 delivered to your door, how do you pass something like that up? No blade play, really good tight lockup, nice action. I can't imagine, I mean, again, you look at that steel, you look at how thick it is. I mean, unless they do something bad with the blade or the tempering and you snap the blade off, I can't imagine this thing's going to break or fall apart. It looks like it's well made. All the edges are symmetrical. There's no burrs or anything. The edges aren't squared. If you look at it from the end, everything's kind of, you know, rounded like that a little bit towards the edge. So it's nice, clean. There's no sharp edges here to give you any hot spots. It's just a really nice, comfortable knife. I really like this design. I've tried some of the Japanese designs before, like from CRKT. I think I had a Hisatsu, and there was another one that was like that were, you know, they were okay. But honestly, I've never been all that crazy about CRKT. I like their Hootenanny a lot. That's a really cool design. The Kit Carson M16. As long as you get the good one, they have a classic model now that's made with better steel and nicer constructed than some of the ones they farmed out to China. And that's what I guess is interesting to me is, you know, when you look at a Kershaw or you look at a Gerber or any of those knives that are made in China, Smith & Wesson, they tend to be gas station knives. When you go directly to China for a Chinese company, they tend to be better than a lot of the American counterparts. Where is there an American-made knife with D2 and carbon fiber and ball bearing pivots and perfect blade centering and really sweet action and no wiggle? Where are you finding a US-made knife like this for $29? Where are you finding it for $59? Who's making one for $100? I mean, maybe Buck or Camellias maybe has something if you get up to like $100. It's just a great knife. It's a great buy. It's really comfortable. There's no hot spots. If you were to hold it in reverse grip, I don't know why you do, but I just have it. I don't know, maybe you stab it into something. Your thumb, look at the way that just ergonomically, your thumb just fits it like a glove. It's a really nice, thoughtful design. It's very well made. It seems strong, cuts like a razor blade, and it's $29. Definitely gets my seal of approval, but it'll turn some people off because it's made in China. And additionally, I guess it is a clone of the Burnley Kwaiken. If you can live with that, fine. If not, don't buy it. But if you do want one, I'll throw a link up there to Amazon. Really, really cool knife. Like this a lot. I was worried, you know, you look at the pictures, sometimes you don't see the details. Like, oh yeah, it looks great from back here. But then when you get up close, you're like, okay, what do the screws look like? Are they stripped? What do these edges look like? Are they nice and rounded and radiused? I mean, it's all stone washed. I don't know, man. It's nice. It's a nice knife. Don't dismiss it just because it comes from China. Don't dismiss it just because of the price. Is it going to be as good as your $500 Sabenza? No, of course not. Is it good enough for 99% of the knife market out there and enthusiasts who, you know, might have some expensive knives, but if they just want a beater in their pocket that's cheap and looks nice and will open up Amazon packages all day long, is it more than adequate for that? Absolutely. And it does so while looking pretty goddamn nice. That is legit carbon fiber. You can see you can see the pattern changing because you're looking at the weave and different layers of it. I don't care what anybody says, man. It's a nice knife. Anyway, check it out. That is I'll put a link, but that is the Canku C1141. And you can get it in different finishes. I got the carbon fiber. They have one that is a jade handle that's like G10. And then they've got one that is orange. So they got 3 different ones. If this is the most expensive one, this is $26.99, right? If you go with the jade or if you go with the orange, you're looking at $19.99. With shipping, what are you looking at? $21 through Amazon Prime? How can you not? 21 bucks? Get one. Anyway, there you have it. Take care.